have to. For example, in those days, they had stuff in the fields. They had stuff on the roofs drying up. Fruits mainly. Dry fruits were up in the on the roofs, and Gemara says that they could be viewed as muktzah because you remove them from your usage. Maybe you don't have in mind to use them. Maybe they're not even usable because while they're on the roof, they are half dried, half fresh, moist. So they're not usable until they get to the condition that they could be used.
But the question...
So that makes them muktzah.
Right. Yeah. But the question that the Gemara is asking, why couldn't it have said about the chicken itself? Beis Shammai holds you can shecht it, and Beis Hillel holds not.
Right.
Right? That's the question?
Right.
So then maybe because then you would say that the egg is usable no matter what. You can't shecht it, but maybe the egg is usable. It's bringing a different point. It's bringing a different type of muktzah, I think. No?
I think you're right, but I'm not sure.
What I'm saying is,
you can shecht it. The egg you don't shecht. What do you mean?
No. What I'm saying is, if the Gemara is asking, why couldn't the Mishnah have said a case about shechting the chicken itself as opposed to talking about the egg?
Egg, correct.
So what I'm saying is, if the Mishnah would have spoken about the chicken itself,
right,
then the machlekes would be about shechting the chicken versus not shechting the chicken, right?
Correct.
But the egg, if let's say that if the chicken would lay an egg, right, then they would both agree you can have the egg, probably.
I would say the opposite. You cannot have the egg.
You cannot have the egg.
Yeah, what's more chamur? What's more chamur, the chicken or the egg?
Chamur is what, stricter?
Stricter.
The egg.
The egg.
No, the chicken, shechting the chicken.
Why? Why? I agree with those who say egg is more chamur. Why?
Because the egg wasn't available.
You couldn't have designated it.
Yeah, you couldn't have designated it.
You couldn't even have designated it.
It didn't
because
exist.
It was not around before Yom Tov.
Right.
It only appeared on Yom Tov, in the middle of Yom Tov.
But why is I don't get why is it a problem to take it? Like if it's food.
You see an egg, take it. What's the problem?
I'll tell you, Chachamim have a right to restrict us on Yom Tov and Shabbat, and they call it muktzah. So, but they're not arbitrarily restricting us. They are giving us very clear guidelines. And they're saying like this: we feel that something which you did not have in mind to use on Shabbat and Yom Tov remains muktzah for the duration of Shabbat and Yom, and it's off limits. You cannot touch it.
That would otherwise
Now,
be
if your question is, why that's the criteria, why something that I did not have in mind I cannot use, you could claim,
because it's something new. It's a new.
if it would allow you to use things that just appeared, maybe you'll do malacha, maybe you'll do work. Why? Because what's the definition of work? Creating something new.
Creative work.
Getting something new that you go, like I say, go getter. You go and acquire, procure something that you didn't have before. All that is for chol, weekdays. On Shabbat Yom Tov, you have to prepare from beforehand, and whatever you already prepared, already have, you got to use.
But 1 second. So then, according to how can Beis Shammai then say anything against that? If that was the original, muktzah takana, right? So then, how can Beis Shammai say anything against it? How can Beis Shammai permit it?
Beis Shammai still agree that there are some other muktzah, for example, a drill.
Oh, he just doesn't hold by this muktzah.
No, this type of muktzah. They don't hold this high level chumrah, additional. For example, everyone agrees that the drill is muktzah.
Drill what?
Let's say electric drill, like not even electric, the regular old-fashioned drill, or let's say screwdriver is muktzah. They'll say that things that are used for doing isur on Shabbat, saw, electricity, or electric appliances, they will agree that these things are muktzah.
Like a bolt or a screw. That's muktzah.
Also muktzah, correct? Bolts and screws, nails. It's definitely muktzah because they're used for building, which is asur on Shabbat and Yom Tov. Also, we could have a muktzah mahmat gufo. Mahmat gufo is a type of muktzah that has zero usage for you. Pebbles, earth, sand, twigs, leaves on the floor, sawdust.
Umbrella.
Umbrella is not muktzah mahmat gufo because muktzah gufo is raw material. Then there is a muktzah kli shemalachta yisur, which means it's really an item,
A vessel.
like drill.
Right.
But it's used for something which is as prohibited to do on Shabbat. Now, it's possible to view umbrella as it's
tool.
it's not it's an item. It's a kli. It's a tool, but there's a question if it's muktzah or not, because what's the prohibition? Let's say there is only problem opening. There is a question of opening umbrella on Shabbat because you're creating a roof. But let's say I opened it before Shabbat. Then there's no problem for me to use it in my backyard where there's a roof. There's no problem. It's not like a drill. It's not like a screwdriver. Right. So I don't agree with umbrella. I don't agree with it. But anyway.
So hold on. So if you have an Eruv, 1 second. If you have an Eruv, and let's say it's Seagate, you have an Eruv, and you know it's going to rain Shabbat morning, right? Or on Yom Kippur morning, it's going to rain. Can you open your umbrella before the holiday? Leave it by your front door. When you go outside, you carry it carry it back.
The only problem
is that allowed?
We don't do that.
Why?
Because people may think that you opened it on
But you
Shabbat.
didn't.
But we're not allowed to do something that's going to make people think that you did an Aveda. You didn't. It's true.
Yeah, but you could say that with the chicken.
Unless you put a sign. I did not. I opened it before Shabbat. You walk with that sign and the umbrella. Yes.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know that. I might implement that. This umbrella was opened before Shabbat.
And there's an Eruv here.
Before Shkia.
And there's an Eruv.
No, but people won't see it.
It doesn't matter.
No, there's a sign. There's an Eruv
Has to be a
here,
big sign.
and it was open before Shabbat. Big bold letters.
Don't bother. There's so much trouble with this that
Yeah,
no one.
just get wet.
That's the reason why no one does it.
Hold on, but you're saying like so people don't see you like carrying it, right?
So people don't assume it's okay to carry.
But what if they don't know you that you're?
No, it's not carrying, it's opening.
Oh, let's say you're not even in a Jewish neighborhood.
No, your neighbors. Everyone knows that you're Jewish. You're coming to shul.
The neighbors.
We're talking about going to shul.
Yeah, neighborhood with the shul. That's true.
Okay.
Okay.
Fine. So now, Gemara wants to say that the reason why we pick on egg in our Mishnah and not on the chicken, because we want to teach you even a bigger chiddush, that not only, but that even an egg is permissible according to Bet Shammai. Does that make sense? This statement make sense?
Yeah, he has a leniency on designating before Shabbat.
And this leniency extends
Even to an egg.
on something which was not even there before
Right.
Shabbat.
All the more so, like his extreme statement.
Right.
This is Beit Shammai.
Right. We want to say that the reason why we're learning about an egg to teach you about Bet Shammai, a chidush, that he holds likula even by an egg, lenient even when it comes to egg. Well, the problem with that is, but we don't pass like Bet Shammai. Why would we want to tell you everything about Bet Shammai?
But what's his reason for that? Because it's food? Why is he lenient?
Because it's permissible on Shabbat.
No, we
On Yom
don't.
Tov.
You see, we don't need to find a reason why
Maybe
something
give me
is
source.
permissible.
Not reason,
Take
source.
away. No, I know what he's asking. He's asking, what's the reason why they're lenient?
Yeah.
And the answer is, there's no. Since it's not prohibited by the Torah, and something which is not prohibited as permissible. So we don't have to find the special reason why it's permissible. It's not the reason why it's permissible is because it's not prohibited.
Based on his rabbinical perception.
They don't hold of this. It's not It's not prohibited, so it remains not prohibited. It remains permissible. But Hillel, they specifically place an isur, artificial midrabanan from the rabbis, isur on it. So there is a prohibition, but without that prohibition, it remains mutar. The only problem is that that according to this explanation, we are teaching a chidush in Bet Shammai. But since we don't pass like Bet Shammai, we're not going to go out of our way to explain or to fashion a Mishnah to bring out the most from Bet Shammai. We never pass like Bet Shammai. Why don't we say like this? Better. But what's Bet Hillel Shita? Bet Hillel Shita is going to be that not only egg is prohibited, but even the chicken is prohibited. So if that's the case, let's focus on Bet Hillel. Let's learn the Mishnah only about the chicken. Let's say the Mishnah as follows: that chicken that was supposed to lay eggs on Yom Tov, if a guy wants to shecht it, Bet Shammai allow it to shecht, and Bet Hillel say no, you can't shecht it. If we say that, then we're going to be teaching a chidush in Bet Hillel that not only an egg they consider to be prohibited, but even a chicken they consider prohibited. We know that what is more should have more prohibition, chicken or an egg?
Yeah.
The egg. If we find that Bet Hillel prohibit even the chicken, then for us it's an additional chidush, additional information, or it's less of an information. It's more of an information. Something that I would think should not be prohibited comes along. The Mishnah tells us it's prohibited. So it's a big chidush. The Gemara says that would fit in more with our usual psak, our usual approach, paskening like Bet Hillel. We want to always pass like Bet Hillel. So again, your idea to teach me, the reason why it talks about egg, to teach me that not only chicken is prohibited, but it's also an egg, but that's all in Bet Shammai. It still is not good an answer. So Gemara wants to say maybe koach de hetera adif. Maybe.
How do we know that Rabbi Hillel would hold that shechting the chicken is forbidden? It says it here. It says it in the Gemara. How do we know that? Maybe he just holds by the egg, but not by the chicken. No?
Excellent question. Because if it Mishnah
No, hold on, time out. You just said he says the egg is permissible. I'm sorry, the egg is not permissible according to Hillel.
And the chicken.
So obviously the chicken isn't permissible.
is not or is?
If the egg is
Is
not
not.
permissible, then his question was how to know the chicken is not is permissible. What was your question?
it's
not permissible.
Right.
Yeah, I guess the chicken is less stricter,
It's
right?
less strict.
Uh-huh.
So there is a way to say maybe chicken is permitted.
Right.
Now Gemara is assuming
No, but you said the chicken was not permitted according to Hillel.
I said it's not permitted.
Yeah, according to Hillel.
Yeah, Hillel says both aren't permitted.
So both not permitted.
Even the chicken.
Even the chicken. Why am I saying that? Because Gemara is saying that. Gemara is not differentiating in the prohibition
Between the chicken and
between
egg.
chicken and egg right now. Gemara is not differentiating. Now, we could claim, since Mishnah is only talking about an egg, maybe only an egg is prohibited.
Right.
Maybe and chicken is permissible. And truthfully, there is one sheet of Rabbeinu Tam like that. So there is a sheet, Ashkenaz passing like Rabbeinu Tam. They say that on Yom Tov, regular muktzah, meaning something which was not in the realm of my usage, is not prohibited, and that would include the egg, the chicken that is supposed to lay eggs. But nolad is prohibited,
Which
which is egg. So now, Sephardi halacha is that chicken and an egg are prohibited on
Like
Yom
Hillel.
Tov. Like Hillel. But Ashkenazi halacha is to split it, to say that regular the chicken would be permissible and the egg is prohibited.
But didn't we say earlier in the Gemara that really Hillel is saying like Shammai and Shammai is saying like Hillel? Or Hillel agrees with Shammai?
Shabbos.
Yeah, but for Shabbat.
Not for Rosh Chodesh.
Not for
Not for
Yom Tov.
Yom Tov.
Not for Yom Tov. Okay. So Gemara wants to say maybe it's telling me about Bet Shammai because koach de teira ajif. Because there is a concept that it takes more to be matter something
Matter meaning
to allow something than to prohibit something. And we always want to teach heter. Heter means permissibility. Now, it says, koach de hetera, or the strength to allow something is strong. By the way, why is it more?
Because
stronger? Why is it more impressive to allow something than not to allow something?
Why is it more impressive to allow something than to not
We're
allow?
not, otherwise, we're not talking about Rabbi who just allows things. Oh, it's mutter, because
Right.
he does not.
It becomes very
Because
popular.
it's harder to
Because
make,
whatever
it's harder to make
he
two
is
opinions.
within. No, he is halachic, and he's within the boundary of halacha. But he has enough knowledge, enough
it shows
information to allow something.
it shows his A, knowledge, and B, he's like definitely sure. It shows that he's like
Expertise, it's called.
right.
And I was like this. In order
Then he has no doubt.
in order to disallow something, you don't have to know.
Mm-hmm.
You could always, when in doubt, go be without. You could do without. You could prohibit it for yourself. And in fact, there is a rule like that. If we're not sure about something,
Assume
then we
we
don't
can't.
do it, right? In order to allow something, you have to be 100% sure, have sources, and know exactly. Sometimes it's not a written source. Sometimes it's your understanding of something that you received as a tradition from your Rabbi. To know to allow. So those who could be makel, those who spent a long time learning from the rabbis, because with years they able to accumulate and figure out these things. Now, so Gemara says, okay, so you want to tell me, I want to talk about heter. I want to see a teacher that Bet Shammai allows. Then we could talk about chicken and egg. First word on life is odif. V'niflag b'trayvayu. Trayvayu means both. Let us talk about both.
Hold on. Let me see.
V'niflag b'trayvayu. Let's talk about both. We could have had a Mishnah that says the following: Tarnegolet ha'omed legadol beitzim. A chicken that is designated to lay eggs. He ubetzasa bet Shammai omrim tochal. The chicken and its egg, Bet Shammai allowed to eat. First word online, Bet Hillel. Bet Hillel omrim lo tochal. And Bet Hillel said no. So we have three possibilities. We could learn a Mishnah about egg. We could learn Mishnah about the chicken. Or we could learn Mishnah about egg and the chicken. Chicken and the egg. And now we're saying, if you really want to tell me a full picture, so tell me chicken and an egg. Must be that something is not good with your answer. We're going to need a different answer. In other words, must be that, that as far as muktzah, it's not the question of muktzah. Really, Bet Hillel who say that it's asur, it's not because of muktzah. See what we're doing right now? When we're departing from this answer, we're saying that Hillel, it's not a question of muktzah anymore. It's not a question of muktzah. In other words, chicken and egg would be permissible when it comes, as far as halachot of muktzah are concerned, even on Yom Tov. So we have to find a different reason why it's asur according to Bet Hillel. Ella Amar Rabba.
Why is it not muktzah according to Bet Hillel?
Because they never made a gezerah, just like we said before, that it's not prohibited, therefore it's permissible. They never made this gisur. They made muktzah on a drill, they made muktzah on a screwdriver, nails, screws.
Do they have to be?
But they did not make muktzah on something which could be eaten.
But do
a
they have to
food.
be specific? That I'm calling this muktzah, or is it like a general thing? If you're not using it for Shabbat, then it's muktzah. Why are you saying like a drill?
Now it's like this. Why is drill asur? Why is nails and screws asur?
Because it could be used for something.
Because it could be used for malacha that's prohibited on Yom Tov. Now it's Shabbat. I couldn't do an isur with it. If I take a drill and I drill inside this wall of my screw, I committed a prohibition of there is a av malacha of building, and there is a tolda, which means a subcategory of drilling a hole. So I drilled a hole, I prohibit it. So it becomes muktzah because I could make a transgression. But which transgression I'm going to do with an egg that was laid on Yom Tov or chicken? No transgressions. So that is different category. It could still be viewed as muktzah if we say not only these things that could bring you to malacha muktzah, but even things that you didn't have in mind to use is also muktzah. If I say that, then it's muktzah. But if I don't say that, it's not muktzah. So we're saying at this point in the Gemara, we don't
We're changing the
prohibit
presupposition.
this
Basically,
muktzah. This type of muktzah is not prohibited.
based on Hillel.
Based on Hillel, yes.
Right.
But then, like any food that you.
By the way, at the halach is going to be like the first answer that they are prohibited. The chicken is prohibited and the egg is prohibited according to Sephardim.
Because you're not.
And only an egg is prohibited according to Ashkenazi.
Because you doesn't designate. it.
Because in other words, we're going to stay with the previous.
But what
answer.
about like other foods? Like you want to eat on a Yom Tov, but you didn't designate that you're gonna eat it.
But they're in your refrigerator?
Yes.
So it's like designation. We're talking about foods that are outside of your home. Let's say in the backyard, in the field. Those you need to specifically designate. But whatever is in your house, you have it.
But your house is your property. What if you have apple orchards and you want to go get some apples that are on the floor? Whatever, you know?
Yeah.
That's not allowed.
We're gonna see later that the apples were on the tree, but then they fell down in the middle of Yom Tov. You know what I think that.
Uh-huh.
But why? It's a total different approach. We prohibit these apples because maybe you will rip off those that are not on the floor. If we will allow these, then maybe you'll by mistake forget and pray. So you see, it's not because of muktzah, but because of a total different approach. So at the end of the day, we will put together different cases, what's permissible, what's prohibited. Let's do one more answer and we'll stop. Look at this interesting approach now. Why would egg be asur? Rabbi comes and says, Kol beitza demit yalda ha'idna, first word is ha'idna. Any egg that was laid today, me'etmol gamrala, was completed inside the chicken from yesterday. V'Rabba l'tamei, and Rabba holds, Ma'ik dichtiv, there is a pasuk, v'haya bayom hashishi, about man, it says in the Torah, and it's going to be on Friday that you have to prepare for Shabbat. You have to collect man on Friday only. And bring it and prepare it and leave it for Shabbat. Chol mechin l'Shabbat, v'chol mechin l'Yom Tov. Only a weekday is able to prepare to create for Shabbat, to be used for Shabbat. And chol, a regular day, chol means mundane, or regular day, could prepare for Yom Tov. Ve'en Yom Tov mechin l'Shabbat, ve'en Shabbat mechin al Yom Tov. So Rabbi wants to learn that we're talking about the case, this case of egg that was laid on Yom Tov, is when Yom Tov comes after Shabbat, like this year Pesach. First day of Pesach is Shabbat. Then there is a second day, it's not going to be Shabbat, but it's going to be Yom Tov. Mm-hmm. And the egg was laid on the second day, Sunday, after Shabbat. That's the egg that's prohibited in our Mishnah. Now we're not talking about any egg that was laid. We're talking about a specific case, an egg that was laid on Sunday, which is Yom Tov. Sunday is Yom Tov. And the previous day was Shabbat. And why can I eat it?
Because you can't prepare for Yom Tov on Shabbat.
Because you can't prepare for Shabbat. Over here, the case is Shabbat and then Yom Tov.
Shabbat and Yom Tov. Yeah, but you're preparing for Yom Tov during Shabbat. The egg is being made on Shabbat.
No. First comes Shabbat, then Yom Tov.
Right.
And the halacha is, and the reality is that if it's late on Sunday, it was prepared on Saturday.
Right.
Comes out Saturday, Shabbat prepared for Sunday. Shabbat prepared for Sunday.
You need a roof tafshilin?
The roof tafshilin is for if Yom Tov comes out on Friday and you're cooking for Shabbat. That's totally different case. Reverse. Forget about that for now.
Okay.
It's not that case. Over here, we're talking about first Shabbat, then Sunday, then Yom Tov. Okay.
But if you live in Israel and you come here, then you don't celebrate that second day. Right?
Yeah, you're right. So my case is not exactly. We're talking about a case where Shabbat was Erev Yom Tov. Shabbat was not Yom Tov yet. Not like exactly this year. This year, first day of Pesach comes out on Shabbat. They coincide with Shabbat. And second day, Sunday is second day. But really, best example would be where Sunday is the first day of Yom Tov. And Shabbat is not Yom Tov yet, but it's Shabbat. It's still Shabbat, right? So it's Erev Yom Tov, which also happens. Sometimes Pesach could be Erev Yom Tov. Shabbat could be Erev Pesach. Same thing with Sukkot. Any holiday could come out on Sunday. Yeah.
Does it happen?
Yeah, last year what happened?
We had
We
Pesach.
have 3 days in a row? Saturday,
First
Sunday?
of all, you could have 3 days easily.
No, I know.
Not only that,
I
probably
only have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, that happens.
no, you only have,
You have
Saturday, Sunday, Monday,
Saturday, Sunday, Monday?
for sure. So, no, Mark, give me 1 minute.
Yeah, I'm here.
So we say like this, that because we're talking about a specific case where an egg was, that's talking about when Sunday is Yom Tov, and the egg was laid on Sunday on Yom Tov, and we know that it was prepared for on day before Shabbat. That's the Isur. So what is this Isur called? What is this Isur called? It's not Muktzah. It's not Muktzah. What is this?
Preparing for the next day.
Yeah, hachona. Yeah, in English, it's called hachona. Means was prepared on the wrong day, prepared by Shabbat. It's called prepared by Shabbat for Yom Tov. So it remains prohibited to eat the whole duration of Yom Tov. That's the whole Sunday is prohibited, and it's only permissible on on Sunday night. Why? Because you say, since Yom Tov is already over, so I never used on Yom Tov something that was prepared on Shabbat. I'm using it now on the days when there's no prohibition, on Monday. So then we would be allowed to use it. That's tough. But there is some details we'll figure out.
So I have a question. Can you check the chicken, break the egg, and make schnitzel?
We'll be in touch tomorrow.
Okay.
Think of that. So have a good night. And a good
That's a
discussion.
good question, for the sake of schnitzel.
We just learned that
We're not making bread, we're making sukkari.
so far in the Gemara, right now in the Gemara, if you would do it today, it's permissible. Why? Because right now we're learning that. But a little further down, you'll see that it's not going to be so clear. We're going to answer it.
So let's learn that until after the Yom Tov.
What was your question? Can you what?
Chicken, egg. What do you get when you mix chicken and egg?
Yeah, I still have you.
Can you make schnitzel?
Can
Can you take the chicken, shake it, use the
If it
egg,
was
and
just the food.
Lana was like, where's the macaroni?
add one more. If it's on Pesach, can you mix it with the matzah to make it crispy?
That's already you're adding extra.
The only
No one's touching that. No one's touching it.
Rabbi, Spartan don't fight it, bro? Huh? Spartan. They hold, they
Yeah, you're allowed to do
give
both.
ups. They hold or?
Give up, yeah. Guys, next week we're going to be learning how the Pesach, very important, how to check.
This week is already recorded.
Seder.